Today we are sponsored by Match Bingo. Whilst watching Premier League games, you can win cash prizes and support your favourite causes all on one app. Purchasing a £2 card on any football fixture gives you multiple ways of winning money. It's so simple, it's so easy to download, to create your Match Bingo account and to purchase their bingo cards. Watch your card automatically populate events that happen throughout the live fixture and win cash prizes by being the first to complete your card. Scan the QR code on the screen or click on the link below now to get involved with one of the best games available in the footballing world. Welcome back to the Top Six Show, people. Brilliant panel for you today. KJ's here with us. Man like Will. We've got George. We've got Henry. I don't know who they support today. All I've seen online is Spurs fans back in Arsenal. And Dayo is here with us as well. How is everyone? Everyone good and well?
Good, man.
Yeah. Three more games left for United. 2 more weeks until the season's done. Flipping happy days, man. Let's go.
I literally feel the same as you, KJ, man. I can't wait to put my feet up. Season over. Take a break. Hey, it's needed.
One more game, and that's it for me. We'll see what happens. Meanwhile, has anybody seen Patrick? Because the season is about to be over, and we had a deal. There is a video out there, which I told Patrick that we're going to beat Tottenham. I need to bring that back. And if we win, he's wearing an Arsenal jersey. And I told him, if you beat us, I'm putting on the Tottenham jersey.
It's a great shout.
I have bought his jersey. It's coming once it arrives. I asked him his size. He refused to tell me. So let him know that whatever size I sent to him is the size he's putting on. That's the way it's going to be.
Yeah, no, in fairness, he hasn't been on a show since, I don't think.
Yeah.
So
I haven't seen him around. Yeah, I haven't.
He's got to show his face. He can't pull out on a bet. Obviously, we're going to take a look at the big game tomorrow between Spurs and Manchester City. We're going to review yesterday's big game between Arsenal and Man United, the fallout from that. Plus, of course, some really interesting stories coming out of Old Trafford today. Not just the entire stadium looking like a scene from Jumanji when the heavens opened up, but also Wayne Rooney stating that certain Man United players are faking injury, and Samuel Luckhurst today saying players don't want to pass to Rasmus, and all of this sort of stuff. So, yeah, loads to go through. But I wanted to start with Chelsea, actually. I'm going to go to George first on this because reports came out yesterday from David Ornstein that they will not have to sell players in June to comply with financial fair play. The big financial £200+ million black hole has been confirmed as true, but they have sold hotels, and it now appears they have sold their training ground to Clear Lake. So essentially they're stripping assets out the club to ensure they don't foul financial fair play and end up with fines and points deductions. And there's also talk about Poch now staying, but his comments in the media seem to sort of contradict that. So it feels like things are moving maybe in the right direction financially, but still a little bit of turmoil surrounding Chelsea. Like, how do you view it as a rival?
Yeah, no, I think Chelsea is slowly coming together. You probably got to give it to them and give it to Poch. The last couple of weeks, it's gone their way. I feel like as the season's gone on, you've sort of seen Chelsea. For me, they've been up and down all year, probably up until the last couple of weeks. You look at their performances and you can say they're starting to grow on those performances. They're starting to sort of find I'd say best 11, but they're working with the 11 they've got. But their best team of the players that they've got right now. And their system's starting to show that it's worked. They can score goals and can create chances, and they're looking a lot better. With regards to Poch, though, I do think that Poch has definitely earned himself another year. I think all these people are saying Poch out and all this rubbish. Yeah, look, if you look at it from the start of the season, what your expectations were, I think a lot of Chelsea fans just said they want to get back in Europe. He's looking more than likely that he's going to be back in Europe, and it could be Europa League spot. So that would be, for me, an overachievement, because we're talking 3-4 months ago. It was most people expected Chelsea to finish 10th or 11th, if not below her. So for me, Poch has probably got to stay. He's earned his job. But with regards to his comments in the media, I think for me, it's him trying to put pressure on the board. I think he knows what's coming in the summer transfer window, and he knows how he's been in the past. In most of his other clubs and wherever else he has been, he's sort of not had that control in the transfer window, and it's sort of left up to the football directors, the board, and he's just a yes man. We all know Poch has been a yes man for many, many years. I think he's finally getting tired of that. is starting to realize this squad isn't the squad that he needs to. It's not built in his eyes, and it's not the squad that he needs to, that he feels he can perform with. So he's starting to put some pressure on the board. He wants to show Clearlake and Todd Bowley that, look, you guys need to bring me in my players. I want it my way, or he could potentially leave. I don't think he's ever going to leave. I think it's a position. This is probably the best job he's going to get. This is going to be his last best job that he's going to get, because if he leaves now, there's no one else, no other big team's going to want to go near Poch, because he's not successful anywhere else. Really.
I mean, what's really interesting about it, Henry, obviously, you know Poch very well, but Chelsea have briefed David Ornstein. And I know some people think David Ornstein is a mouthpiece and he's going to make everything sound more positive than it is. And I understand that claim. But his statement is that they are going to review his future at the end of the season. I don't understand what changes in the next couple of games. I don't see how he can 2 or 3 good wins or a couple of bad defeats. Surely they can't be waiting to the end of the season. Surely Chelsea's owners already know whether or not they want to keep him.
Yeah. Look, well, they should do in theory. They've already gone through a couple of managers. I think the only thing that could potentially play a part is if he gets in the Europa League, because won't that affect his ability to spend, Chelsea's ability to go and spend money? I think if they fall outside of Europe, they can go and spend more in the transfer window. But Chelsea just needs to get a manager in that they trust. If Poch is not going to be the guy, even if he finishes in the Europa League, I think George is right. That is a bit of an overachievement considering where they were in, I think, January. They were 12th. So to rescue that and potentially get 6th, I think that's a relatively good turnaround for Chelsea. But if he's not the guy, they need to just understand who they want and get them in soon. But the problem we've got is there's many clubs looking for managers. And Chelsea at the moment aren't probably in the best position to attract the top managers. Yes, they're a big football club. They're an elite football club. But you've got Man United who are also looking for managers. There's potentially PSG if Emery gets sacked. Liverpool, Arne Slot, is he going to work out? Potentially Spurs, if Ange doesn't work out, we're going to be looking for a manager. There's a lot of teams on the lookout. I think Poch is the right guy. I said this on the squad. I think he just needs to get his own players in and actually have full backing from Todd Bowley, not flipping Monopoly where they're going to chuck £1 billion out of all these random players that actually fit the system. Clearly, I still think they need a striker, even though Jackson's performed in recent weeks. I still think they need an out-and-out striker. But yeah, only time will tell. I think they just got to understand if Poch is going to be their guy going into next season sooner rather than later.
Well, Poch ain't the only one making strange comments. You had Todd Bowley the other day in the interview saying that, everything's going to plan, like everything that they want is happening, that you can see it coming together. So this is what confuses me about Chelsea. You get reports saying they're looking at sacking him. You got Poch saying they're gonna, I don't know if I want to stay, but I want to stay. Then you got Todd Bowley saying, the plan's coming together, but you want to say, like, it's just very confusing.
Is it not just mind games, KJ, do you think? Do you not think he's saying that because he doesn't think...
Playing mind games with who? Like, those two to each other, to the world?
No, it's in Poch saying to the board, like, unless you want me here, like, why would I stay?
Yeah, it could be potentially, but, like, it's just all a bit confusing right now.
Do it privately, wouldn't you? You do it privately. Yeah. If it's... public negotiations never end well, do they? Like, between... people that are meant to be on the same side.
Yeah,
no, it never does.
And the same page, and it's just a massive confusion at Chelsea. And I personally think that Poch should stay just for another year, because he's only got a 2-year contract anyway. See how the contract and see where they are at the end of the season. Like he's started to play the football that they needed to do. He's getting some players back, and he's going to get them into Europe. And next season, if you get him experienced players, you might see something different from Chelsea, because for most of the season, no one was really talking about their defensive record. Yes, there was poor defending, but it was more due to the fact that their scoring, there was missing so many open chances. And that was the biggest issue at Chelsea. And those things are coming together now because Cole Palmer in form, Jackson's trying to find his shooting boots. But if you give him more experienced players, more experienced striker, we probably don't even hear this chat about Poch getting sacked by Chelsea. But the biggest thing for Chelsea fans I need to look at, and I've had this discussion with some of the guys in the group chats, like the Dons, the Ches and Jem and Andrew and all of those guys, they need to be side-eyeing their ownership just a little bit. Not saying turn on them, not saying you need to be Bowley out and Clown Lake out and all these things, but really have an eye on what they're doing, because yes, they're finding loopholes and everything's like, Todd Bowley out again, find another loophole. But for me, that's a worry, because if you're finding loopholes, that means you're under stress. That means to me that you're under pressure, because you need to find some quick fix, and a loophole is the best way to get out of it. What's happening financially with that club? It needs to find a solution, a long-term solution that isn't selling off its assets. Because I've just seen another report saying they're thinking about selling Brighton and part of their women's team. And this is where I'm like, whoa, slow down. This is going a bit too far. You're not going to have anything left at Chelsea Football Club if they keep going like this. And I know Chelsea fans are saying it's a short term. Cool, it's a short-term fix. And that's fair enough. But what signs have they been showing that they're going to get this right long term? Because you don't want to end up like Barcelona, where you're selling your whole flipping soul just to keep the club running. You don't want to end up like Man United, where the ownership issues are the reasons why you don't win trophies for 10 to 15 years. Honestly, like, what they're doing shouldn't be celebrated as, well done, you found loopholes. I think it should be more of an analyzed thing. It's like, okay, why are we using loopholes to get out of this situation?
Yeah, I mean, even loopholes. I mean, it's an interesting point. Dayo, when you look at Chelsea, I mean, some Chelsea fans are celebrating the sale of the hotels, the sale of the training ground to ensure they avoid FFP. Do you think it's something they should be happy about?
To be honest with you, I don't know. I honestly don't know, but I just think that if you're selling, it's just if you listen to the things that Todd Bowley says, I think it was last week, he was in the newspaper. He made a report about Cole Palmer, and how he said, he's important to us and would like him to be famous in America. When Americans say that, he cares about the money. He doesn't care about the football on the pitch. This guy does not care about Chelsea. All these loopholes that he's taken, he's going to run this club into the ground. I mean, let's be realistic. The teams that he owns here as well, there's always something. There's always just Google him and Google his teams. There's always something. Like, there's always something with the dude. So I don't know if it's a good thing for you to, like, how do you sell your training ground to the owners of the club? Like, what are you doing? It's going to come back to bite you.
It's clever accounting.
It's clever accounting, but it's going to come back and bite you eventually, because the question they're going to ask you is this: as the owner, you can put in this amount of money into the club, right? Clear Lake owns the training ground. So right now, Clear Lake is if Clear Lake owns the training ground, Clear Lake is renting the training ground to Chelsea, right? They're renting it to you to use, because you can't use it for free. Or they own you. Are they giving it back to you again? Are you writing it off the books? It's just back and forth.
What's now happened to Chelsea? Chelsea have become a less valuable football club because they no longer own particular assets. Henry's right. It's clever accounting. For me, I'm not even looking at this as loopholes, because it's just how do we need to raise money? And then they've sold some assets, which is fair. I've seen Chelsea.
No, sorry about this.
I've seen some Chelsea fans go crazy about it, and I think that's a little bit too far, too soon. I've seen some Chelsea fans celebrate it like it's a trophy, which is equally as crazy to me. There's a comment here that says, I thought you were all saying a few weeks ago that Chelsea were financially done. No, they were sailing very close to the wind financially, which has now been proven. The sale of well over £200 million of assets will tell you there was a financial issue. People typically only sell their assets, either personally or as a business, when they need to raise funds because things aren't going the way in which they want to. Ali then says, Terry, how do they wriggle out of the FFP thing? Well, they didn't wriggle out of it. They've raised their income by making sales. I don't know how many more other assets they have to do this with, but what it boils down to is they have to start getting it right on the football pitch. I think it's got to be this season. They may have at least 2 years. And what I mean by that is they're going to have to spend big again this year. They've got to go out and spend another 150 to 200 million. They are still probably going to sell some of the 100% profit players because of FFP, some of their academy players. But getting it right on the football pitch matters the most here. If the next round of spending doesn't yield Champions League football and winning the major trophies, the financial situation will rear its head again. There's no way they can continue to increase sponsorship opportunities if they're not a competitive club. This is just the basic understanding of how sports teams work. The bigger and better a team performs on the football pitch, the more they win, the more money they bring in. City have grown their revenue. let's just put aside a minute that some people think they've done it fraudulently. It probably isn't now. They're probably now earning this kind of money because of how good a team they are. If City weren't winning everything, do you really think they'd be getting all these sponsorship deals? The answer is no. So where I think KJ is spot on is their fans have to keep an eye on this. This idea, you can't keep getting out of the situation because eventually you're going to run out of assets to sell. This all comes back to the football, though. Next season, they have to finish in Champions League positions, in my humble opinion, for themselves to continue moving forward. Otherwise, they're going to find themselves in a hole where they're going to have a lot less players to sell that give them that 100% profit for FFP.
The only way they can do it.
They'll run out of assets to sell because I'm sure what they're going to do. The next thing they might do is sell the stadium. They might sell the stadium to themselves and do that. That could be the next option. But then Chelsea Football Club are being stripped of all its assets, which I know football fans go for the football. But if you're being stripped of all your assets, that still leaves you vulnerable, in my opinion. I don't know how you see this, Will, but I think Chelsea fans shouldn't be panicking. But this idea that, oh my God, my owners are brilliant, look what they just did, I think that's too far. I think that's too far-fetched.
Yeah, I think, people, they're saying that Chelsea are overachieving because they're sitting 7th right now. I don't think that they're overachieving. I think that Chelsea are failing because you don't spend that much money to finish that low on the table. So for me, they are failing at the moment, but I don't think that Chelsea are as bad as everybody's trying to make them out to be. I think that they do have quality players in that side. And I always say that I think that they're the right manager away from being back in top 4. And even if you look at how shit they were this season, they still went to Wembley twice. They were in the Carabao Cup final, and then they should have beat Man City in the FA Cup semifinal, if we're going to be honest. But they just don't have anybody to put away their chances. And then in terms of what Todd Bowley's doing, I know that, there's that stigma of Americans and that they don't care about the sport. They just want to own the clubs to make money. I think he does care about the club because then I don't believe that you make that much investment into something that you do not really care about. Maybe the way that they did it was a bit dodgy, but I don't really see any issue with it because it's all about trying to gain an advantage. And they found a loophole in the system that other clubs were not aware of. But I think what Chelsea need to do this summer, they got to get rid of some of these players. And I think they only need really another striker. Maybe you could say a left back and a goalkeeper. But aside from that, yeah, true, a center back. I mean, what's happening with Wesley Fofana? Because I mean, look, I know that he's been injured. Yeah, but I think that he's a good player, right? They have quality in that side. It's just they just need the right manager. I don't know if it's Pochettino. I don't know if it's somebody else. I know that whoever's available, though, it's not really that many names that jump out to you where you're like, yeah, we got to go get this guy. So I think Man United's terrible form the last few weeks, and then Chelsea's good form has saved him. And I know that you brought up about Pochettino having weird comments in the media. I think he should be under pressure, but I think he's done enough to keep his job for at least one more season. And then just real quick, I did want to say when they played Nottingham Forest over the weekend, I think Nico Jackson is a disgrace, bro. You score in the 81st minute and then you go run and jump into the crowd like you just bagged the league or you won Champions League final. Come on, bro. You're playing Nottingham Forest to stay 7th. Congratulations.
Okay, you know what?
It's a big club.
No,
it's a big club.
I want to be fair.
Hey, let the man celebrate. Let the man celebrate the way he wants to celebrate.
Bro, you jump into the crowd.
No, listen. Will. People have been knocking that guy. People have been knocking him all season. Oh, he's not a goal scorer. He's not bagging, and his confidence is low. He misses easy chances in front of the goal. He finally gets that, his confidence is up. That's a confidence booster for him as an individual. Allow the man celebrate. We are not the celebration police, and anybody, and I will stop anybody who says anybody shouldn't celebrate because if it's my team, 100% because if it's my team and my players 100%. Decide to do that and you come for them, I will come for you.
Literally,
that's small mentality. You went from 7th to 7th.
It's not about
the 81st minute against Nottingham Forest. You're going to jump into the crowd and lose your mind like that.
You only play who's in front of you, right? It doesn't matter who the person is. If they want to bring a high school team and I score against you and my team score and they celebrate, let them celebrate. The reason you're playing is to enjoy the game and be able to celebrate. We will not do this. We will not turn into mainstream media that will sit here.
I think the only time that
when to celebrate and when not to celebrate.
I think the only time that celebration police is valid is if a team scores an equalizer against the likes of Nottingham Forest and they do that type of celebration. But otherwise, a winner's a winner. You can't.
They came back.
Have some shame.
I'm not. That's what I mean. I'm saying that it count. He scored a winner. It was a goal. It was a goal.
It's a winner.
In my head, isn't it? So you can't even
There's only one instance a team should never celebrate. And that is if you play a championship team in a semi-final, you're winning 3-0, and they come back and to make it 3-3, and you win on penalties. That's the only time celebration police should be out. Other than that, let people celebrate.
I get you. Will like when you say that it's like bad mentality, etc.
Yeah.
Football clubs that are not necessarily scoring the winning goal in the game to win a trophy or to go first in the league have been celebrating winners in that sort of manner for over 100 years in our sport. Why should it change now?
Because you went from 7th to 7th. You're struggling to beat Nottingham Forest, right? It took a late minute winner to get that. And now you're going to, I'm not saying not celebrate, period. Like, you should just walk off. But I'm saying how he celebrated, I think, was disgraceful. You're going to go run and jump into the crowd like you just won the league or you won a trophy. Come on now. That's my main thing. What's different from when, like, let's say how, because I've heard plenty of United fans get on Rasmus Hojlund about how he celebrates in kind of situations where it's like, you got to understand the situation that's going on. Like when he scored the winning penalty against Coventry and he's going to go to like the crowd and he's giving it like all that. And the United players are just like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like, come on, bro.
I can talk about, okay, that instance in particular, he's a Man United fan. It's his dream to send his club that he loves to a final, and he did that. So let the guys celebrate. The rest of the Anthony's the only one can get smoke because what he did was disgraceful. But other than that, I get Rasmus Hojlund celebrating. On Jackson, you also got to remember what Dayo was saying is correct. The fans have been on his back. The fans have been ridiculing him, like abusing him as well throughout the season. Those moments right there, even though it takes you from 7th to 7th, even though it's from against Nottingham Forest, those moments right there is what players can do to endear themselves to your fan base. Because let's be honest, you're a Real Madrid fan, so you guys can get away with abusing your players and your players just respond and get better. But most football clubs, most football players are not in that position where fans being on your back makes you better. It doesn't. Most players crumble. Most players become flops by doing that. So those little moments there will endear the fans to him, get him more support, give him more confidence, and probably perform better. That's why I don't think it's
scoring a winning goal regardless of the team that you're playing. I don't like this idea that Nottingham Forest. Look, we saw Man City struggle against the same Nottingham Forest. We saw the great Man City struggle against them. So I don't like.
The only thing I'd say is Man City are in a title race.
It's Nottingham Forest, whatever it is. He scored a winning goal, and scoring a goal is a happy moment. That's something that you react to spontaneously when you do it. So if he reacts that way and the fans jump with him, we didn't see the fans go, get away from here. We don't want you here. No, they jump with him. So let the man celebrate the way he wants to, man.
Yeah, I think that's the interesting point. I think when you're sitting at home watching it, like a lot of us do, and again, I think it depends upon the club. And I'll be honest with you, Will, you can't look at every other club through a Real Madrid lens because you're looking for a very specialized club, a very different team altogether. I guarantee you Real Madrid fans and clubs' mentality would be different if they spent a decade or 2 decades or 3 decades in the doldrums. And I mean, coming 5th, 6th, 7th, not winning trophies, problems like that. The mindset would change, especially of a new generation that we're not used to the winning. You're just a phenomenal football club, Real Madrid, who have impeccably, by the way, kept themselves at the very highest standards forever and a day. And I think that's a testament to you, which why you're considered really and truly the biggest club in the world.
Wait, but Terry, I look at it just from a big club's perspective. Now, if he played for Wolverhampton and they scored that goal to win the game, 81st minute, all right, you want to jump into the crowd, fair enough. Chelsea are a big club. Man United are a big club. Arsenal, all these teams. So I get it. You're saying, okay, well, from a Real Madrid fan's perspective, it's like, yeah, it's shameful. But I think just from a big club perspective in general, it's kind of like you guys have underperformed all season. You haven't played well. You haven't really been scoring your chance. Well, you haven't been taking your chances if you're Jackson. My thing is, I'm not saying not to celebrate. I think you should celebrate every goal. But I just think it's how he celebrated. That's my only issue.
So again, I was going to get to that point, but I appreciate what you're saying. I think I understand where you're coming from with the big club mentality. But back to what I was just trying to come around to is that when you're in that stadium, it's different from watching at home. And I'm not someone that thinks match-going fans love their clubs more than non-match-going fans. I don't make that claim. But it's a different feeling being at a stadium watching a football match, especially an away game, to watching it on TV. I've been very fortunate enough to be at home games, away games, and watch on television. And the emotion, the atmosphere, the noise, the euphoria in that moment sometimes leads to you celebrating in ways. Footballers have admitted sometimes they've celebrated, and when they've watched it back, they felt embarrassed. Not because of why they celebrated, but the type of celebration, what they did, etc. But it's that moment, it's that noise, like they're responding to everything that's going on around them. When you're watching at home, especially if it isn't your team, I think it's a hard thing to sometimes. I get where you're coming from. I do get your point. It holds water, but I don't necessarily think it's as simple as that for footballers that are in that moment, living it at that time, where the goal goes in, the crowd goes up, because he was running towards the crowd. My opinion is this: he's running towards the crowd, celebrating in the way in which you'd probably say is acceptable. But then based on the noise and the euphoria and the way they're jumping towards him, it brought something else out of him. We must have all been in situations. Most of us probably not a professional sports level. Might be a party that you're at and the atmosphere gets up and then you all start doing and saying things that are a little bit over the top. Then someone might get hurt or get off the table dancing. But you do it because in the moment, it's what everybody's doing. And I think that you can't sometimes, again, if you look at it from the outside in, you go, oh, why are those idiots dancing on the bar in that nightclub? But you know what? It's because it's what was happening at that moment in time. Ibiza was amazing, by the way, people. But it's just, I just think sometimes you can get dragged into the moment. That's all.
Yeah, and then just like last thing before we can move on or somebody else talks. It was good to see Reece James back because I think that guy is quality. To me, he's the best right back in the world when he's fully healthy. And I think the only reason that he's not at another level in terms of just as a player is because of his body. It just always fails him. But it was a good game though.
It was a good game. Best in the world. Better than Trent, in your opinion.
Way better than Trent because Trent can't defend. He's only good going forward. I don't really think Reece James has that many weaknesses. Like Reece James can defend. He can hold his own. If he doesn't go
forward, it is though, Will. Yeah, I feel like one thing. I think Terry said this before. Many people have as well. Is the best ability is availability. If you're not available enough, you just can't be considered world class. Like, and I agree with you. I think all round much better. Like, I think he's a better player than Trent because he has it going back. He has it going forward. All round play is just, for me, so good, but he plays about 15 games a season, if even that. So you can't even consider him world-class because he's not even playing enough games. He's not having an impact on the team on a high enough level. So I feel like it's a claim that you have to make once he's actually playing enough football because like you said, his body lets him down. What's to stop us from saying that his body's not going to continue letting him down? Because 3-4 seasons into the Premier League, his body's let him down every single year. I think the most games he's played in a season is around 20 to 25 league games.
And it's clear, like George, you're right. It's clear that he has the talent, but the truth is the reason his body is breaking down is because he's not strong enough. It is what it is. So you might have all the talent in the world, and if your body is one of the things that Trent has been injured this season, maybe for a few games now, but Trent is always almost available for you to use. So if you're not available, I don't care how good you are. I can't call you the best in the world because you're not available to prove it. The best in the world do it consistently and committedly. The best in the world have to be consistent. There's no consistency enough for me to say Reece James is the best in the world. Kyle Walker has played more games consistently than Reece James. Even if Reece James is the better player all round than Kyle Walker, he hasn't proved it to me yet. Because part of being the best is for you to be there consistently. So here.
Yeah, but guys, but pure footballing ability. Surely Trent is better than pure footballing ability, guys. Surely Trent.
I think AJ, you need Don here to have that conversation. It's
I agree with Will's in terms of if availability wasn't in question. I said years ago, I said it on Friday night on the terrace, I would take Reece James over Trent because I think going forward, Reece James is very, very good. Defensively, I think he's better. I think he's an excellent player. And it was good to see him back, but listen, Chelsea fans love him to bits and I get it, but I think he's one more bad if his hamstring goes again, they got to cash in. And I think they should maybe consider cashing in on him now.
I'll take him. Yeah, Real Madrid
are linked. Would you take a risk on his body?
Yeah. Look, bro. Look, it's all about maybe he just needs a change of scenery. Maybe like the Chelsea doctors are just terrible. I mean, look at Ousmane Dembele. This guy used to yawn when he woke up and then missed like 4 weeks. So he's at PSG. I think he's played most of this season. Maybe that's just what it is. I would take Reece James right now at Real Madrid over Trent, but I get why we're looking at Trent before him though, because his contract runs out in a year. So you probably get him for like a cheap deal, or you might get him on a free. So it makes more sense. I think Reece has like 4 more years left on his contract, so he'll cost more, but he's just a better player when you compare the two.
I agree with the environment thing.
I hear you on that. This here super chat says, I'm slightly worried about the training ground. At least the fans own the bridge. Yeah, someone put that in, that Chelsea fans own the bridge. So they can't actually sell the stadium, which is true.
I think they actually own the pitch, like the grass on the pitch. They don't own the stadium. They own the grass, the pitch of the stadium.
Yes, I mean, they'll sell what's around it. Like they just listen.
It's owned by their CL or something.
In Chelsea, you know. Terry, I think Bowley thinks of Chelsea now as a second project and is leaving it to Egbali. Especially with how his stint as director of football went and the Dodgers being so popular now. He's just paid $1.2 billion in 3 months for free players, which is huge. I don't know much about what he does in the States, to be fair, but breaking news actually on all this from Matt Law is that Chelsea sporting directors Paul Winstanley and Lawrence Stewart retain the enthusiastic backing of prominent board members ahead of next week's end of season review. So, I mean, those are the guys that signed all those players, and they're being backed. So, look, read into that, whatever it is you will. Aya here says the issue with modern day Standard FC fans is that they're
They're quite toxic. They're quite toxic.
There we go. My dyslexic brain tried to read the word because they're overly emotional and don't even realize that they are. They only apply context when it suits them. I mean, listen, I think Standard FC, everyone, I don't know. I like listening to other people's views on football, but it's interesting indeed. As a Chelsea fan from Texas, I wanted to be there celebrating with him after finishing off a game-winning chance, assisted by our captain, who has been out all season. It's a weird one. I mean, there was a very famous game. I'd love to get Will's opinion on this, right? So there's a very famous game. I'm going to say this was could have been, it's between 2001 and 2004. And Man United were playing Aston Villa away in the FA Cup, not to reach the final, but just in, I think, it was the 3rd or 4th round. And we were 2-0 down with 10 minutes to go. And we scored 3 goals in the last 10 minutes to make the next round. Fans invaded the pitch in Euphoria. Would you say that that's an embarrassing moment and celebration?
I feel like you cut out for me, Terry, just now.
Oh, okay. No, so I'm saying that I'd love to get your take on this. So
yeah,
there's a famous FA Cup game about 20 years ago where Manchester United were 2-0 down away from home to Aston Villa, and someone's got a really loud noise in their background. I don't know where that's coming from.
Yeah, I think that might be me. That might be me.
Okay, cool.
Like my neighbor's like cutting their grass or something. I could mute my mic though.
And what happened in that game is that United were 2-0 down. In the last 10, 15 minutes, we scored 3 goals and went through. Players jumped into the crowd. Some fans even invaded the pitch. It was a crazy moment. It wasn't to win the trophy or go to the final, but would you say that is like an embarrassing celebration from your perspective?
Nah, because you get to advance in a cup competition. So I think it's a little bit different. I still would say you shouldn't celebrate like that, though. But I think it's a bit of a different situation than just you stay in 7th place in the league. I mean, and yeah, like, so I do it a little different.
I just want to throw it out there. I'm just thinking back to some mad celebrations that I've seen.
But Will, what you're doing is you're equating what he did with just the position of the team on the table. That's one thing. His goal and that very moment, in that very second, based on his confidence, what fans have been saying about him and the way he felt, is a different feeling. That's what we're talking about. Like, him celebrating is not because he thinks, oh, this goal that I scored is taking us from 7th to 4th. He's not thinking of that. He's just in the moment, like, you know what? I finally scored. Like, I did it again. Like, I need to get better. Like, the crowd is like, hey, he loses his mind. That's a normal thing. I think.
He celebrated because he found his level against Nottingham Forest.
No, not because he found his level against. Listen, you see, this is why. No. You're choosing to hear it that way because you can only play the team that they put in front of you, and if that team beats them, you'll be right there saying, look at how useless they are. Nottingham Forest beat them. And then he finally puts a goal in the last minute, and celebrates, and we want to sit here as fans and tell people exactly how to celebrate or how not to celebrate, or they're over celebrating or they're just under celebrating because their team did not move from 7th position, or they should not over celebrate because he found his form against Nottingham Forest. If it was against Man City, is it okay for him to celebrate that way? Because it's Nottingham Forest, it doesn't make any sense. When the guy celebrated.
When Tottenham beat Sheffield United, we scored in the 101st minute, and it was I think it was Kulusevski got the winner. Is it over celebrating the players bringing out their kids onto the pitch and doing a lap of honor against bottom of the league?
Yeah, that is.
No, the reason why they did the lap of honor is because they know what they're going to go through on Tuesday. Because they're going to throw it in.
This was in George,
September.
Oh, September. I thought you were talking about this past
this is
weekend.
in September. Against
Listen, I think it's an interesting conversation personally. I also think as well sometimes we've got to get into the mind of players, because when you listen to Premier League players speak, even the best teams, they speak about how hard most games are, even against teams that we all look at as crap. The amount of players, such a hard game, it's hard to do this. So anyway, this here says for Dayo, a word that describes someone who's always has unrealistic expectations is. Okay, that's actually a word. Then I've got to Google it now.
Okay.
One sec.
Wait,
Quixotic.
did they just say unrealistic expectations? Because I'm saying a striker for Chelsea shouldn't be acting like he just won the league after scoring a.
That's not what he's talking about. He sent a super chat earlier, and I thought he tried to mix 2 words, which is quite toxic. But
he's saying that Standard. No, but he's right. Some members of Standard FC do set unrealistic expectations. So some people will put things out there. Like there'll be some Man United fans this summer. We'll get a new manager. We'll buy some players who will set the standard of, if we don't challenge for the league this year, minimum, first year of a rebuild, sack the manager. I'm fuming. They know we're not going to probably be at that level year 1 with all the crap we've been through and all the changes that need to happen. But they'll publicly put out those expectations, almost knowing they're not quite going to be achieved. So yeah, that's more. I don't think it's based at you directly, Will. Personally, he went off to say this term suggests a pursuit of ideals that are more romantic and exceeding realism, often without regarding practicality. And that's true. It's very. That's essentially that's like saying, right, I'm going to do a month in the gym, and if I don't have a big ripped body, I'm going to say that going to the gym is fraudulent. That's essentially what you would do. You're never going to get in that good a shape, even with steroids. If they sell everything to Bowley's companies and he eventually sells Chelsea are going to have to buy a lot of assets back from them. Those are the little things that I would care about as a fan, but that's because I care about the financial side. Obviously, a big game tomorrow night, boys. On to some more football matters now. Big game tomorrow night. Tottenham Hotspur, or as I've seen some Arsenal fans refer to them as today. Was it Spursnal, as I've seen going around? Arsenal fans have become Spurs. I've seen badges mixing your emblems, but you've got a big game tomorrow night, Henry, against Manchester City. How do you see yourselves faring?
Do you know what? I think tonight's game, if Aston Villa lose against Liverpool, I think that will change a lot of Tottenham fans' perspective going into this game. I can only speak for myself. I don't want Arsenal to win the league. I think if Tottenham get in the Champions League the way we're playing next season, we will get, I can't say that's 18 plus, but yeah, we would get absolutely rolled over in the Champions League the way we're playing at the moment. If the way I see it is, if Man City score early, I mean, it could be a bloodbath. I've just seen on Twitter that there's up to 4,000 tickets on the exchange the night before a game against another Big Six rival or club, you could say, to me, is absolutely insane. And the fact that the club kind of did the lap of honor thanking the fans in the Burnley game, you know, kind of tells me that the club obviously want to win the football match, but it's not like if we lose to Man City, it's not the be all and end things. I think in terms of the game, the way Man City are playing at the moment, they blew Fulham away. Fulham did well for the first 10 minutes, but then Man City switched it on. The way they're scoring goals, it wouldn't surprise me if we're 3-0 down in 30 minutes. The one thing, obviously, the hoodoo is Man City have never scored a goal in our stadium in the Premier League. And the way they've played against us in the Premier League is completely different to the way we're playing at the moment. We normally sit back and counter-attack, have an extremely low block on our penalty area. We're not going to do that. We all know Ange Ball. He's not going to change. Doesn't matter who we're playing against. We're going to be open at the back. And if Man City take their chances, we could be out of mind in the first 30 minutes. I'll be honest. I'd take a draw, but yeah, I think looking at it positively, I think we're going to lose, and I think we're going to lose around maybe 4-0. I don't know what George thinks, but I would shamelessly, I would take a 4-0 defeat if City go and beat West Ham on Sunday.
Me, I can't lie. Look, I'm not doing any of this. I haven't said once I support City. I'm not doing none of that because I think it is a bit weird, to be honest. I do think that I support City or I support my rivals, like Arsenal fans trying to support. I think it's all a bit weird. We all support our one club. I support my one team, and that's Spurs. I'm not going to sit here and cheer on another team for someone else's success or for their failure. Do I think Tottenham are going to do anything tomorrow? No. I pretty much agree with Henry that, look, whether people want to look at the stats on what the history in this fixture is or whether Tottenham need to do something for our Champions League hopes, let's just be realistic here. Man City are in hot form. They're playing some really good football right now, some of the best football they've played all season. So whether this was now or this was when it was originally supposed to be scheduled a few weeks ago, the result would have been the same. City were going to absolutely roll us over. They need to win this game. And the fact that they haven't scored a goal at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in the league, I think it's only extra motivation. This is just giving them the fuel that they need. They want to come out there tomorrow and they want a big performance. They want to wrap up their title. They want to come and beat us. And they want to get over the hurdle that is Spurs, because Pep has said it so many times. Like, even after he won the treble, he said, what's next, Pep, man? What are you going to go do now? Go score a goal at Spurs Stadium. That's literally what they're looking to do tomorrow. So for me, look, as you've seen, some of the players have got the kites out, feet are up, holidays started. They've already started to book their trips, and you know what? I'm not even mad. Like, me personally, I agree with Henry in the fact that I don't think we're ready for the Champions League. I don't think we deserve the Champions League. I think Aston Villa have been better, more consistent than us. And quite frankly, they just deserve the Champions League. They've played really well. They've not been there for a long time. And their performances this season, they've put themselves in that position where they should go into the Champions League. They should get the chance to perform there. We've not put ourselves in a position to do it. So we don't deserve it. We're not ready for it. So yeah, no, man. Look, City are going to come to our ground tomorrow. They're going to do the job that they do. I'm not going to sit here celebrate it because, again, it's a loss. It's a loss. But I'm also not going to be overly happy if we did win or if we did pick up a point, because season's over. We generally, for me, we've got nothing to play for. There's nothing that we need to do now at this point. And yeah, man, feet's up. So City can go do the job tomorrow, and our season will be over. So yeah, man.
I mean, wait, but let's be honest though. Like, let's be honest. You guys are saying good reasons why you would be okay with losing, but come on, it's really just because if you guys go out there and beat City, then Arsenal win the league, right? Like, I feel like people are trying to be like politically correct when they're saying why they're okay with losing, or like tomorrow's going to be a very weird day in football, right? Like, Arsenal fans are going to be supporting Tottenham. Tottenham fans are going to be supporting Man City. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it from a fan's POV.
I don't think it's us trying to be politically. I think if in the lens of Spurs fans, and Henry could probably agree with me here, is that the season was done when we lost to Arsenal. Once we'd lost to Arsenal and we'd realized that, look, Arsenal are going on to push their title hopes, we've pretty much more than at that point had thrown away our Champions League hopes. Our season was over. And then from those games, you can sort of see in the players' minds and the way that they've been playing, they're clearly halfway checked out too. So we're not really going to go into this game expecting to perform against City or be like, oh yeah, like, give ourselves some false hope to do something tomorrow. We're just all at this point of the season where, look, we know what our team is. We know half of the players are checked out. We've also got a few injuries. Let's just be honest here. Look, we're probably not going to do anything. And that's where we're at. We don't care that much because it's second last game of the season. We've had a long year, just like Man United fans, just like Chelsea fans. We haven't won anything this year. We've not achieved anything great. So there's nothing to be happy about. We're all just waiting for the season to be over. And that's where we're at now. So the City game is literally just a formality that, like, if it was, even when we beat Burnley on the weekend, you think I was celebrating? I saw KJ send the match reaction into the group chat and be like, "Oh yes." But I was thinking, what Spurs fan they're gonna come on after a win against Burnley, which was we'd scraped by, second last game of the season? Come on, man, it's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. I'm not going to celebrate that.
Yeah, George, is that
Nah.
your daughter's playing the piano in the background?
No, it's my son. Sorry.
No,
He
did.
I thought someone, but guys, listen. I know where you guys are at. I feel the same. But if your team scores, I know you man are booing that screen. I know George is sitting there with a boo. How dare you, son, score against City again? You know what I'm saying? I know you guys are doing it, and it's okay. You know what I think? It's okay. It is okay. I think for a fan, it is perfectly fine to say that, yo, for the downfall of my rivals, because I've had the downfall, I want you man to have a downfall. The only issue is for me is my rival is Man City, and I need you man to turn up. Your rival is Arsenal, so that means you guys can do whatever you want, and you're not gonna care. I think Spurs is gonna kick in. I think Spursy is gonna happen. And the one game as a Spurs fan that you do not care about losing,
It's the one that you're gonna win.
You're gonna draw or win.
Nah, there's no way. There's no way. Look, it's like the reason like that I said that people are being politically correct is because if Arsenal weren't in the situation that they're in right now, and let's say if it was between Man City and Liverpool for the title, I think Tottenham fans would be talking about wanting to go out there and win to get Champions League. But because it's Arsenal, we all know that that's why. And it's okay. I think that you should be rooting for your team to lose, because why would you want to see your biggest rivals win a trophy when you guys haven't won it since I was like 10? Like it's actually crazy. So
that is the like, you know, I think I said this on one of the shows, Terry, here. Like, I don't like Spurs for anything. For anything. Like if I have to make content about Spurs, it'll be poop everywhere. Like, I don't like them for anything, honestly. But as far as I'm concerned, I love my team and my club more than I hate them. If Arsenal was in Spurs' position right now and they had the opportunity to go and beat City and cross my fingers that Aston Villa drop points and then win my next game and maybe get Champions League, and because of Champions League I can attract better players in the summer and reinforce my team and be better next season to come again and try, I would rather my team go.
Dayo,
This is
Dayo, though.
No, hear me out. I'm saying how I would perceive. This is me. If it's Arsenal and any Arsenal fan is telling me, right, that Alexa, stop. So like if it's Arsenal and we're in this position, honestly speaking, personally, like I want to see my club do well. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? Like what I told.
Yeah.
Listen, what I told Terry the last time I was here, I said I don't care what any other team does. Mikel Arteta and Arsenal, just go win the rest of your games. All I'm asking you to do is win. Whether you win the league or not, I just don't care anymore at this point, because it's not in our hands. It's in City's hands to drop it.
But the thing is, though, the only thing I disagree with, I don't have a problem.
For me, I just don't want them to lose. My team should not lose. Go in there, give me 110%. If you lose fighting at 110%, I'll be like, you know, you gave your all, you lost. But you just go in there and roll over. As an Arsenal team, you just go in there and just give up. They should sell all the players, sell the dog, sell the coach, sell the stadium, and let's start again. There's no reason why my team should go there and just roll over. Go in there, give 120%. If you lose at 120%. So that I can back you and say, you know what, my boys played well, but they lost to a better team.
wait, so Dayo, so if the roles were switched and if Arsenal beat Man City, Tottenham would win the league, you would be happy with Arsenal beating City and then giving Tottenham the Premier League. That's what you're saying.
No. I'm saying as long as my team, Arsenal, does what I want them to do, which is go out there and win. I don't care what Tottenham gets in that year anymore. Yeah, they'll lord it over me. They'll banter me. They'll talk about how they won the league before me. They'll do all of that. But I'm putting myself in a position where I can make Champions League. I can attract better players. I can reinforce
the thing
next
is,
year.
Though, so
and then
what you've
even
just
then
said
challenge
there,
next year.
No,
So
but
for
Dayo,
me,
what
I'm
you
not
just
going
said
to sit
there
here.
about attracting better players is not entirely true. And I remember, to be fair, because we done, I believe 2 seasons ago, when we finished above Arsenal, we got the 4th position. We were doing shows all summer. Terry, remember going, who's going to attract better players, Tottenham or Arsenal? And we looked at the summer plan out, and you go, the Champions League didn't really make much of a difference as to what players you attract. The club's going to attract the same players with or without that Champions League, because your teams, they're going to see the vision for the team to get better or not. The players are either going to want to come and join Ange or they're not. So the Champions League football, like I used to think, and I used to agree with you, Dayo, but to be honest, Champions League football is not going to make a big difference as to what players you can attract. The only difference, wait, just very briefly, the only difference it will make is potentially the spending power you might have.
That's what I'm saying.
In the
so
transfer
with spending power, you can go for better players.
On Tottenham's side
with
of things,
spending power, you can go for better players.
Be a problem because Tottenham have more than enough money to spend.
I agree with you,
guys. I want to jump in. I don't want to go off the subject too much. I understand why some Spurs fans will want to lose. I get it. I'm not saying it's right to feel that way. I'm just saying I understand it. And I've had Man United. I remember we had Liez before Liez was famous when he was on the terrace and he went viral because he said he wanted Man United to lose a game so Ollie would go. And I didn't agree with it, but I understood it. Henry, George, if you get a result, will you be angry at your players and Ange? If you get a draw, if you get a victory, will you be angry? That's what I'm more interested. I get you saying. If we lose, I'm not going to be upset. If you get a result, draw or win, doesn't really matter. Both help Arsenal. What will your reaction be? Be honest.
If Villa win tonight, our result doesn't matter because we mathematically cannot get Champions League. If Villa were to lose against Liverpool tonight and we got, say, thumped 5-0, then yeah, I would be annoyed. But there's
Okay,
that's not the question. That's not the question.
That's not the question.
If Villa lose tonight and we get thumped 5-0,
if Tottenham win, I will say right now that if Tottenham win, I'm not going to be angry. No, I would actually be like, do you know what? Cool, we done our job. Now it's down to City to go do their job against West Ham and put 5 or 6 away. Like again, yeah, I'm not going to be happy that we won. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to be happy and celebrate the win like I normally would. No, but I'm not going to be angry at my team for winning. No, that's just silly now. I'm still going to be like, do you know what? We done our job. City need to go do their job on the weekend. Like,
no, I get that because up until when Man United were building in the months actually building up to us playing the game yesterday, a lot of people said, would you want to lose? And I said, I really don't want City doing this 4-P. On the eve of the game, I said, I actually really wanted to win. That was because of the scenario United were in. I wanted a performance. Didn't happen, but that's what I wanted. But I wasn't fuming that we lost the game. So again, Henry, you kind of spoke about if Spurs, like, you lose. If you beat City, if you draw with City, forget what happens tonight. Will you be angry at Spurs and Ange for helping Arsenal?
To a degree, yeah, I would be. But if Villa win tonight, then our result is effectively irrelevant in that.
It isn't irrelevant. It's not irrelevant. You getting a draw or victory almost certainly hands the Premier League to Arsenal. I'll be annoyed, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, forget where Spurs end up. If you beat City, I'd be annoyed.
I'd be furious because we know the online presence of that lot down the road.
We got there.
I would be absolutely furious, yeah. Because
Henry, that's fair.
Every single group chat.
It's not fair. It's not. I can't lie.
No, in fact, no. I said no.
I hate Arsenal, and I don't want to hear Arsenal fans rub it in my face. But at the same time, I don't expect my team to go out there and bend over for Man City just because Arsenal are gonna go win the league. Like, I still expect my team to have some respect for themselves. And you know what? Like Dayo said, go out fighting. Go out throwing some punches. Go out actually looking like you guys tried. Because I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I want us to lose 5-0 because it's going to secure City the league. That's just embarrassing. It's weird. And like you said, it's not standards. We need to have standards for our club.
But
it's Tottenham.
I need to back you. No, I need to back you. I need to back you guys.
Well, hang on. Sorry, Kay. I come back to what do you mean by it's Tottenham, Will?
I mean, like, when we talk about standards, I mean, we're talking about Tottenham here. I mean, like, let's be honest. You guys are technically Big Six, but I don't consider Tottenham a big club. I think that you have to win things to be considered a big club. The only thing that's good about your team is your stadium. It's very nice. But aside from that, I don't think that Tottenham really have anything going for them. Like, why do you even care about making Champions League? You're not going to win it. I mean, I think that you have a better chance of winning the Europa League. You guys were in the Conference League season or two ago, and you guys didn't win that either. So,
we got knocked out through COVID, but yeah.
Say it again?
We got knocked out.
You lot were awful in that before that. You lot were awful in that.
I mean, like, you guys were playing like Antwerp and stuff.
Games. I'm taking that to the bank.
No, I mean, look, that's true. But, like, my thing is, if I'm a Tottenham fan, And if they go out there and beat Man City, I'm pissed. Like, I would be the first to say I'm not happy. I'm not celebrating because now you've just handed Arsenal the title. And you guys winning, you guys would still need everything to go right for you to come forth anyways. So you go beat Tottenham, give Arsenal the championship, and then there's still no guarantee that you come forth. So to me, it wouldn't be worth it from a Tottenham's point of view. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes it's like you got to pick the lesser of the two evils.
Yeah,
but you know the funny thing. Let's look at this.
No.
Let's look at the flip side.
I've been waiting now.
Okay,
I've been waiting.
I
I need to get onto you now, though. I'm waiting to get onto you, my friend.
Okay, go on.
You know what? You know why? Because I'm sitting here and I'm hearing you talking. I'm like, okay, yeah. He's like, no, you guys should have this. You should believe in your club.
No, not them. I said for me. I spoke about my club.
No. I'm saying, but you're trying to tell the Spurs fans, like, look at it from this point of view. I reckon if Arsenal weren't going to win the league, and if maybe it was a different club, if you guys weren't in the driving seat to win the league from Tottenham losing, you would not be. Tottenham winning. Sorry, you would not be sitting here trying to give them encouragement to win.
No. Let me
encouragement to draw.
KJ, let me say this, right?
I think because Arsenal in the position that they are, that's why you're trying to give these guys.
So let me put it this way, KJ. Let me put it this way. If Tottenham, in any multi-platform world tomorrow, just go in there and beat City and hand us the league, right? The thing I dread the most, right? Let me tell you what I dread the most is I'll be happy that they beat City. Don't get me wrong. I'll be happy about that particular moment. You beat City, you gave us a chance, great stuff. I'll be excited. All right, great stuff. Boom. What I'm going to hate the most is the stigma that every Tottenham fan will tell me that the first EPL we won in 20 years is because they handed it to us. I've been dreading that as well. So for me, sitting here, there's a second mind that I've been thinking about saying, but these people, man, if they go out there and they do it and they hand us the league, we will have that stigma attached to that trophy for the rest of our lives.
Yeah. I think Spurs have to look at it. I think Spurs have got to look at it this way as well, though. Chelsea are winning games at the minute. If Spurs lose against City and lose their final game of the season, Chelsea could catch you and finish above you. That is plausible. Well. Newcastle could finish above you because you and Chelsea are on the same goal difference of 12, which is a madness, by the way, considering Spurs have been praised all year. If Chelsea win their game midweek, they go 3 points behind you. If you lose, that is. Final day of the season, we've seen you guys slip up before. If you lose that and they win, and Newcastle win their last two games, you man can end up 7th.
If we lose to Sheffield United, sack him.
Yeah, but this is what can happen if your players. This is the thing. If your players,
Henry, man.
They've conceded. George.
I get your point, Henry. But let me just say this now. Your manager has said this today. He said if you go by social media, 99% of them will want Spurs to lose to City, but please don't tell me that's your world. If it is, you need counselling. He says, I understand rivalry, but I never understand anyone wanting their own team to lose. Your manager's come out and said any Spurs fan wanting to lose is a disgrace. Equally, though, if your players do check out for this game, say certain Spurs fans get their wish and your players check out, they're not reloading for the Sheffield United game. Once football players check out, they're on that beach. They're on that fucking beach. And you guys finishing 5th, it's decent end to your season, which started really well. You end up coming 6th or 7th, and it ends up being a fucking embarrassment. It ends up becoming a fucking embarrassment. You guys have got to go out there and try and win, in my opinion.
The saving face we have against Sheffield is, like you said, Sheffield are going to be on the beach as well. They're not going to need anything.
Maybe.
And do you know what? All we need to do, shake hands with Sheffield. We'll take a draw.
Yep.
And we finish above both Newcastle and Chelsea. So
Yeah.
we're all right. We're all right.
You know what, Will? You're right there. The standards are on the ground.
Wait, but you don't think that what Ange Postecoglou said is nonsense? Like
No.
To me, like that's nonsense. Because then, if that's the case, then why did you do the lap of honor after Burnley? Why didn't you wait till after this?
We've done it after Burnley because that
They
was
did
our
a lap.
last
They did a
home
lap
game
of honor in
the season
September.
as originally planned. The game is on a Saturday. Our Man City game is on it finishes at 10 p.m. on a Tuesday night. I don't know about you guys, but a lot of people are going to have to go work. They're going to leave the stadium. They're not going to wait around after most likely a loss to do a lap of honor and watch the teams clap their hands at 10 p.m. at night. Like, they're all going to want to go home.
Yeah, that is true.
Nah,
Also,
I think why they did that was because they know that it's going to be embarrassing to do one after you get dominated by
No,
Man City.
it was already scheduled, Will, from the beginning of the season.
yeah, no.
It was
Well, I
scheduled.
think what
These things
George
are
is saying is
scheduled.
normal. I think there's this element again. Football fans and sports fans and athletes do not look and managers within it. They do not look at things the same way. They Because the reason that these people are, even if we think they're bums, right, and we do that sometimes, the people that play in the Prem and managing the Prem, do you know how good they are, even if they don't quite make it at Premier League level? To get to that point, your mentality throughout the whole of your life is win, win, win at trying everything you do. I think they do look at things differently to supporters. They really, really do. Look at this here. Terry is a hypocrite. He wanted United to lose to Arsenal. But Don, why are you lying when I spoke all last week about how I wanted to win? So, Don, I love you and respect you, bro. You watch everything I do every single day. I know how much of an important person I am in your life. But please stop lying, because I quite clearly stated that I want to win. Come on now, bruv. There's freedom of speech, and then there's being a fucking prick. So calm yourself down, son. Come on. Calm yourself down, sunshine. And use your real bloody name. Stop being a baby. Shut up, Terry. Gaslighting Spurs fans as you don't want City to do a 4P. It's nothing to do with that. It's literally, like I've said, if City win the league, City win the league. I wanted Man United to beat Arsenal the other day. I'm just looking at it from a Spurs point of view. Be careful what you wish for. Slippery slope and all that. You throw this game and you end up coming 6th or 7th. It goes from being a brilliant start and a good end to an overall terrible season. If Chelsea get above you, after everything they've been through, with how you started, remember, you're the first team in Premier League history, Tottenham, to have whatever the amount of points you had after 10 games was, and 1 not being a title race, and 2 not being in the top 4. To suddenly start falling to 6th and 7th, it's an abomination of an end. That's a fact. I don't care.
But what's the difference, though, Terry? They're still going to be in Europa or conference. Like, you'll still technically be in Europe in a competition that you have a better chance of winning.
Like, you still have to. You still remember they started like a house on fire. Like, they were tracking like
26 points. 26 points in the first 10 games.
Yeah, that's
26
mad.
out of 30. They got 26 points out of 30. Right, those
are mad numbers. But so to go from that to finishing behind a Chelsea team and a Newcastle team who were in the pits for most of the season, it's not a good look. It doesn't matter if Europa League and Conference League are the same thing in your eyes. As a team who's trying to progress, you need to keep progressing and you need to end seasons well. Otherwise, you might just throw your season out the window and just be like,
yeah. Ola is back again. He says, sorry, don't believe you. I know it's a mathematical fact. Chelsea above United after all the salt you've thrown at them this season. I have definitely criticized Chelsea, but this is the difference. Me criticizing Chelsea for being poor, which they have been, does not coincide with me saying, but my team is so amazing in comparison. I've been equally as scathing, if not worse, on my own team. So, Olu, I know you've tried him, my friend. 007 at the end of your name. Fuck me. He doesn't miss, but you've missed terribly with this attempt to try and get me. You can only do they're above you, ha, 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 if I've acted like we are exponentially better. What I have said is that we are both trash. So, again, that comeback, try harder. Try again. That comeback doesn't work, my bro. It's dead banter, my friend, but try again. And yes, I did want Man United to win. And I think I predicted a draw in the game as well, for everyone saying I was predicting us to lose. This is not it. Terry is a sensitive guy. Oh, no, it's called interacting with my viewers and having a little bit of fun. I can assure you, Clive. I can assure you, Clive, I'm not being sensitive. When I finish this stream, I don't sit there and cry. That's okay. I believe Ange won London Manager of the Year. Yeah, that's mad, isn't it? Yeah. He did. This here says, agree it's most likely they did the lap of honor after Burnley because they are planning to lose tomorrow. But could it be the opposite? Because if they get a result, no fans in that stadium. But that's also true. If you win, the fans ain't going to stay either. They are going to leave as well.
Literally, if you guys win, I will hear the first boo from a fan base for winning the game. I can't wait.
How do you guys actually,
I don't think they're going to boo.
No. How do you actually see the game going? I'm going to go to Will first. How do you see the game actually panning out? I think it's been announced that Basuma is now out injured for Tottenham. Richarlison will not be playing either. How do you actually see the game going?
Yeah, Terry, I don't really think it matters who's out there for Tottenham. I don't think that they're going to just lay down and make it obvious that they want to lose. So that's not what I think is going to happen. I just think they're going to get battered just because City are a better team than them. I think they'll probably lose like 4-5-1, something like that. And then, it'll be on to the weekend to see who actually wins the league if West Ham could do Arsenal a favor. But it's definitely not going to be Tottenham. And I think you guys kind of brought up about how they did the lap of honor because it was a Saturday and all that. I don't believe that. I think it's just because of what's going to happen tomorrow, and it's just going to be bad if Tottenham fans are happy after they lose. So, yeah, I expect them to get.
Wait. That makes no sense. If Spurs fans are going to be happy if they lost the game to Man City because Man City are going to win the league and Arsenal won't, surely they'll be happy with their players, and therefore a lap of honor wouldn't upset them. It'll be happy about that.
No, so but it's bad. But it's bad optics because now, you know, you're gonna have Sky Sports there, then they're gonna be showing the stadium like happy that they lost. You know, it just doesn't look good. So I think from a PR POV, I think that's why they're not gonna want to do that after that Man City game.
No, they're not doing it because it doesn't make no sense.
Yeah, I get that. How do you boys see it go, George, in terms of sort of predictions for the game? Will's there saying you're going to get battered 4 or 5-1. Do you see it being that bad?
Do you know what? I've got a feeling it's going to be very similar to the Man United and Arsenal game yesterday. I think that we're going to see Man City, who are going to be playing very good football, but also they might suffer with a bit of tiredness. They might be a bit leggy. Well, I wouldn't really say leggy, but I don't think they're going to be as up for it as they have been for some of their other games. I also think on the other side of things that Tottenham just aren't going to be where they need to be. Like we've highlighted, there's a lot of players missing. Not that's going to make too much of a difference, but half of these players are checked out, the ones that are there, and we've just not really been playing that good. Burnley had us on toast a few times in the game on the weekend. I know they're playing for, of course, they're fighting for their relegation, but still, they had far too many chances for a team of their level. So it's going to be probably the same with City. They're going to have a lot of chances. I actually don't think they're going to score so many. I've got a feeling it's probably going to be a low-scoring game. It might be a 2-0, 2-1, but I do think that City get over the line. I think it's just going to be one of those games where they're going to get the early goal and then, you know, just let the game sort of play itself out, similar to the way Arsenal did yesterday.
How about yourself, Dayo? I mean, how can Spurs get a result? What do you think they've got to do on the night to get a positive result against City?
To be honest, I don't think there's anything they can do. I don't see, with the injuries that they just announced again, I don't think there's anything that they can do to get a result. But you know, like I said about the Man U game against Arsenal, most Arsenal fans are like, oh, we're going to go there, we're going to slap them. And I said it's going to be a tough game because we haven't won there in 16 seasons except in 2019. Like, we have not won at Old Trafford, and that is the thing. So for me, I think the only thing that is a thing here is the fact that City hasn't scored in the league at Tottenham Stadium. That's a thing that has been on since 2019. Right, they haven't scored there since 2019, and that's a record that, you know, if for some reason holds up, you know, are they hoodoo, then good luck to Tottenham. But I don't see anything else they can do to get a win. I think City is going to win, and I think it'll be low scoring. I think City might win like a 2-0 because they've never scored there before. So it might be one of those games where City is cautious and they're a little more pragmatic. They get their goals and then they just lock up shop and let it ride, you know, because we saw what happened earlier in the season with City and Tottenham. It went all the way to 4-4, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was 4-4 or 3-3. I don't remember. I think it was 4-4 or 3-3. Yeah, 3-3. Yeah, eventually. Yeah. So nobody expected that. Let's be honest. You know. So and because they have never scored at their stadium, now they're coming to, you know, I still call it Shite Lane. They're coming to the Shite Lane again, and so let's see what happens. You know, but I don't have anything to tell them like, if you set up this way, you're going to be able to bypass City, or if you play deep, because Ange is going to play Ange ball. That's with whatever players he has, he's going to play Ange. He's going to play his high line. He's going to play his high line. So there's really nothing you can like. If only Ange was like the manager that has done some in-game tweaking that I've seen before, I'd be like, you know, maybe if he plays this way, a mid block or a low block, and then maybe he can hold them off till the end of the first half, and then counter with Son and get a penalty, and then come back and defend again. But Ange is not going to do that. So let's just hope that the hoodoo holds up. The hoodoo, but that City has not scored at your ground. That's all I can hope for them. But outside that, I think City win 2-0.
What's your prediction, Henry?
Looking at our results against the big teams recently, there's going to be a lot of space in behind our defence with Emerson Royale or Ollie Skip, because Dragusin probably won't be playing at left back. whoever's on that right-hand side is going to have a field day for me. For me, I think if City, as soon as City score, I think it will settle their nerves because obviously there's going to be a little bit of pressure in terms of you haven't scored at this ground. I'll be honest though, I don't see a world in which Tottenham win this game. Under previous managers, we've counter-attacked, we've sat deep, we've set up to play that way, and you're just going to want to go and play attacking football. You know, we'll go at City and we'll get chances, but I think City will win 3-1. I think we will score, but once City gets a first, they'll get a second and potentially a third. Like if Liverpool can score 4 against us, Arsenal can score 3 with barely even trying, to be honest. And the fact that Chelsea probably should have had a few more against us, and how strong City are from set pieces. Like, yeah, I thought we'll lose 3-1.
KJ?
Yeah, Spurs are drawing, baby. I don't care. I believe that that's Spursy. That they will have Brennan Johnson through and goal. He will purposely try and miss, and he will flip and score a screamer. That's what's gonna flipping happen. Like, it'll be so Spursy of them to draw this game. It will get a result out of this game. I'm gonna go 2-2. They're gonna find a way. I think they'll find a way because Ange don't even want to lose anyway. The players, I don't care what the players think. They'll find a way to flip and score where they don't want to score. They'll find a way to defend where they don't want to defend. Like, honestly, I just believe that's the Spursy curse, man. Like, it's happening. 2-2 draw, baby. Let's go.
Viewers, give us your score predictions in the comment section below. We'd love to hear from you on this. We have some super chats here. The first one says, I believe, we've done that one. Arsenal survived the Titanic yesterday. Yeah, it was crazy at the ground. If Spurs lose to Sheffield United, it's more embarrassing than the 7-0 to Liverpool. Depends on who you are. How awkward would it be on the stadium if Spurs go 1-up? Will the fans celebrate? I'm sure they will.
I think we will. We might go 1-up. I think it is very possible that we could go 1-up.
Yeah, I mean, again, from it's entertainment point, I'd like Spurs to get a little. I mean, I would like Spurs to win the game, to be honest with you. But if Spurs go a goal or 2 up, it'd make the game amazing. The game would become fire. If City score first, then I think it just dies a death. Spurs will lose, but not throw the game. Fair enough. Chike here. I hope you're well, my friend. He says, I'm curious, gang, do you think the Premier League adding the 39th game with Americans now becoming invested in the Premier League for a while? I mean, playing at least one Premier League game in the States? Awful idea. Awful idea, in my opinion. It's not about it being in America. It's about any of it. It's how do you decide which games and how could I imagine City and Liverpool were in a title race, but City's game against Arsenal that's meant to be at the Etihad is now being played in New York in front of in a neutral stadium, but Liverpool's game in America is then playing Sheffield United. How that completely damages the integrity of the league because you're taking all. Do you know what I'm saying? And you know it will happen. Someone's going to have an easy game in America. Someone's going to have a hard game that should have been easier because it should be at home. You just, for me, you can't be doing that sort of stuff. I understand the investments that Americans put in and Australians put in and other people all around the world, but it's the English Premier League for a reason. I know the NFL does it. I think that's wrong. Personally, I don't think they should be doing it.
They're doing it because they're trying to get the sport to become more popular. Football's already popular.
The money.
You don't need to be going over there.
It's the money. It's the money, man. Follow the money.
I think I think that's weird. I think also like the La Liga president said that I think like starting maybe the season after next, like games, he said that they will be in America. Like there will be La Liga games.
Yeah,
I think
La Liga's been doing a mess.
You're broke as hell. So
if you wait for turn around and said we're going to put the Champions League final there, that wouldn't bother me so much because generally it's neutral anyway, and the fans are probably but then you're costing fans even more money than they already pay. You know what? It's a hard one. Imagine fans who pay to go home and away to build their points up. Suddenly they can't get tickets to the final because it's being given to an audience. Yeah, I don't think you can do that either. Yeah, either way, it's probably going to be shut down.
Hey Terry, I'm glad we got the World Cup in 2026. The final is going to be played like 30 minutes from where I live. So I'm happy with getting international tournaments. Like I don't need league games here.
No offense to you, Will, but the 2026 World Cup will be the worst World Cup we've ever seen.
Come on, man.
Why?
Three different countries.
Three different countries.
Do you remember when they did Japan? When they did Japan, Korea? Do you know how hard that was?
Japan, Korea.
You know what? Where I get where you're
Euros,
coming from, KJ. Is we were spoiled when we went Doha because it was all in one. Forget one country; it was all in one city, and everything was so close. Suddenly doing it where because you got to basically see everything because it's all in one place. I get what you mean. It being spread across a continent that size. It's I get what you mean, but each town it's still going to be good and amazing. It's just going to be more old school. But
you got to fly to Mexico, then back to Canada for another game, depending on what your country is, and then fly back from Canada back to America, go to the East Coast and play over there.
What you're going to end up doing? I don't think that they're not going to spread the teams around that much. What you'll find, they'll be in a region. So say England.
But I'm saying if your team wins, for example, if you start moving because of the way
that will happen later on. But you know where you can end up. They will do it, I think, in a way where it becomes a little bit more. So if your team's based in New York the way they'll have to do it is they won't be able to keep flying around like this because it will ruin teams. They won't be able to play right. They have to base it. Where's the final going to be? Is it in LA?
Nope, it's in New Jersey. It's like right outside
New Jersey. So
City.
I think they'll end up keeping people and sides of the draw because it's all done ahead of time in a certain region at least. They'll have to, but we'll see. They might get it wrong. Luke here says smash the like button, people. Please get that done. Before we go any further, I want to shout out our title sponsors. Bingo cards are available for tonight's game between Aston Villa and Liverpool. That's my official card from the game tonight. What am I going to need on there? I need Liverpool to make 5 substitutions tonight, which I don't know if that's going to happen. They've got to get a throw in. That definitely will. But the hardest one there, I need 1 minute of added on time. When do you ever get 1 minute of added on time anymore? That never happens. So I'm going to struggle to win the jackpot tonight. But you can get your bingo cards right now by scanning the QR code on my screen. It's an amazing game to play. Trust me, once you've started it, you'll love it. Scan the QR code or click on the link below. Dayo, yesterday, thankfully, it wasn't a beating or anything along those lines. But Manchester United beaten by Arsenal. You've kept yourselves alive. What did you make of Arsenal's performance yesterday? Because I've seen some gooners online fuming. I've seen others say it was all just about 3 points. Some stating that Arteta was too scared to attack Man United. How did you view it as an Arsenal fan?
It was a poor performance. Let's call it what it is. It was a poor performance according to the standards of what we want to hold Arsenal to. But it was a controlled, poor performance. It wasn't something that was panicky for us or for me in particular watching the game. I felt like we were still in control. We weren't playing well. Whenever we lost the ball, I'm like, yeah, we'll get the second ball. We'll get the second ball. I felt that way. But the performance levels, I think, was really, really bad. That's number one. Number two, I predicted a 2-0 win, and I predicted one goal in the first half and a last-minute goal. That's what I predicted because I was like, we haven't beating you guys at Old Trafford in a long time. And that's a thing. No matter how good we are, like going to that ground is a thing. And so for me, the 1-0 win, I'll take it. I can criticize the performance and be fair and say, look, they performed badly. Saliba was the only person who I thought like put a foot right. The team was not shaky, like, where I would panic and be like, oh, they could have scored a goal, And the reason I didn't feel that way was because you didn't have your first team on the pitch. I wasn't really feeling any of the guys on that. I was like, you know what? You guys are not really going to be able to damage our defense. But that doesn't mean we didn't perform poorly. So the 3 points is the most important thing. It's kept the league till the last day of the season. That's the most important thing at this point. Because what would have been worse is for us to go lose to a Manchester United Team C. That would have been the worst thing that could have happened. Like if let me be honest with you, if we had lost to you guys, you won't see me again until next year. Like I won't even talk about football again anywhere. All the jerseys in my house will be burnt. Like I'm that's like if we had lost to your Team C, that's what would have happened. Because I was like, no matter how bad it is, just play controlled, pragmatic football. Go in there, get the 3 points, and let's get out of there. But the performance itself, I was a little like, but it's second to last game of the season, so I cut them some slack. Players are tired, there's fatigue in their legs, people are talking about hamstrings. Let's just go in there, get the business done, get the points, and just move on. At this stage, it doesn't matter whether it's 5-0 or 1-0 or or a penalty or whatever it is. Just take the win and just walk away. Take the win and walk away. And because it's a poor United side that we're playing, just stay in gear 1 or gear 2. No need to go ham. win and just walk away from it. If you go ham against them and they counter us and they score, like even if you guys had scored and it was a 2-1, I'd be mad again. Like you allowed them score. You could even keep a clean sheet again to just increase the clean sheet tally. You decided to allow them score. So I'm just glad it was a clean sheet, 1-0, 1-0 to the Arsenal. I'm happy with that. I don't need it to be more than that, but it's the 3 points that is most important. Yeah.
Will, how did you see the game yesterday? There's some people saying that Arsenal didn't really try. There's some that saying Man United actually set up much better than usual, so kind of nullified the midfield. What was your take on it, especially from a sort of a neutral perspective?
Yeah, so last week when we did the show, I predicted Arsenal to drop points. I thought that it would be a draw. And I thought that United, they would have gotten a draw if it wasn't Garnacho on some of the end of those chances, if I'm being honest. I think, Arsenal, they did exactly what they were supposed to do. Just pick up 3 points. I don't really think it matters what kind of performance they put in, because at this stage of the season, especially when you're competing for the title, all that matters is just winning. You got to just find a way to get 3 points, then you worry about the next game and the next game. So to me, I thought Arsenal defended really well, and I thought United played well after conceding. I remember a lot of people were talking about, well, if Arsenal score early, and I think that Trossard goal came in like the 20th minute, they were saying that the floodgates were going to open and then United were going to get battered. But I think Arteta, he kind of gave United maybe more respect than what he should have, considering the players that they had out there. But I think that went exactly how Arteta would have wanted it to. Get the goal, set up shop, don't risk, getting caught on the counter or making any mistakes. But I think William Saliba and Gabriel Magalhaes, I think they played really well. I thought Ben White kind of struggled a little bit with Garnacho, which is a little bit surprising because I don't rate Garnacho at all. And I think it's going to be maybe the first time that I'll say if Bruno and Rashford were playing, I think United could have done a little bit better and they possibly could have got something from that game. But I think it went exactly how Arsenal wanted it to, because you can't just tell me that United just outplayed them with the form that both teams are on all of a sudden.
I also noticed something on the bench cam yesterday. Arteta kept on telling the Arsenal boys to drop back, which was weird. Like every time they got the second ball, he'd do this. Close heads, back. And I was like, why are you asking Odegaard and these guys to drop back? Like, why are you playing deep? We have the ball, let them attack. But I think for whatever it was worth, he wanted to play that way. Maybe because he was cautious of that hoodoo that we have at Old Trafford. Because last season, we played better than you guys. And for some reason, you beat us 3-1. Like, I hate last season so much. Like, that game is stuck in my head. That's the game I see. And I kid you not, this is to tell you how scary this was for me. Even though I predicted that we would win and I said it would be a tough game, I went to bed and I woke up early that morning panicking. And I woke up thinking Manchester United had scored. Like, that's how I woke up and I was like, they're just going to I'm literally, because last season, but we saw it happen last season. We played better than you guys. And all of a sudden it was 3-1 at the end of the game. That's frustrating. So and knowing our record there, I was just like, oh my God, let's just go in there, play pragmatic. And I think Arteta did that. He was like, just if we get a goal, don't take the risk. The hoodoo is real here. It is real. You just go get your goal, get your 3 points, and let's lead, boys. Don't try to overdo anything,
Yeah, I think there was an element of sitting back at times, but I think what United did well yesterday is we were tucking our inside forwards into midfield areas out of possession. And the biggest problem with us all season, one of our biggest problems, for me, though, the biggest issue has been our open-hand midfield has been. We haven't had a midfield. It's been completely, you can sit back against us or you can attack us, but the midfield's open, so we're easy to pass through. And barring a 10-minute spell, which we subsequently conceded in, where Casemiro just started going long every time he got the ball, it actually helped us to not be that open. I think that element was probably a little bit of a shock to Arsenal because we haven't addressed that problem at all this season. We've all been asking for it. So we weren't as open as I think people expected us to be, but it was still quite comfortable. I watched about 60 minutes of the game back yesterday with no nerves or anything, and we just didn't look like scoring. And, Garnacho and Ahmad tried, but they just didn't have end product on. We created again, no chances for our centre forward. Although Samuel Luckhurst today, I said that's because the players that don't want to pass him the ball, which is an interesting leak to come out about Man United. Rooney stating that certain Man United players are not injured. So obviously toxic Trafford continues to ring around the world of football. What did you make of all that, KJ, with Rooney saying that players weren't actually injured? The story from Samuel Luckhurst today that Man United players don't have faith in Rasmus, so don't want to pass him the ball?
Honestly, I think it's a lot of nonsense. I love Wayne Rooney, I really do. One of probably our greatest player in the Premier League. Him or Scholes or Giggs, you can argue, but he's definitely up there as a player that I love. Absolutely love Wazza, but he chats some right nonsense sometimes, and unfortunately, I have to disagree with him with this time. Man United players have been rushed back for the entire season. They get injured. They don't get full recovery time. They come back and they get injured again. We saw with Evans multiple times, Lisandro Martinez, Luke Shaw. And it's one of those ones where as a player now, you come into the end of the season, you should just take your time. There's actually no need to rush back. There's no need to try and push yourself to be ready for a game that you're not ready for. Lisandro Martinez wanted to play against Arsenal, and Ten Hag told him no. So this idea that all these United players that are injured aren't really injured and just chilling is false, in my opinion. Because as a footballer, you always want to play. As a footballer, you're always going to try and do your best. And I know
that's not always true, though, is it?
No, but wait. I know there are situations where that's not the case, but I don't think that's the case in this matter, because they've got to play for their careers now. They know Sir Jim is here. They know Wilcox is here. They know Berard is here. They know people are coming in and changing the club. They know that if they're not playing and they look like a liability to the team, they're gone. So of course they're going to be wanting to play because they're playing for the futures. Doesn't mean they play well. Doesn't mean they play the best.
But KJ, where's the evidence to suggest that any of that is true? Because let's be honest here, Manchester United has had these problems for the best part of probably about 7-8 years, easily, yeah. And these same players, not all of them, but many of them have been at the club during that time. Their performances have maintained this level, and sort of they've had this lack of care to improve. The likes of, I'm just going to name a few players that have been there for long, not necessarily that the players that have caused the problem, but Luke Shaw, I mean, Maguire's been there a while now, Rashford, you've got a bunch of other players just in the squad, Lindelof, a bunch of players that are just in the squad that don't necessarily play every week, that have been there for a while. Their levels haven't necessarily gone up any time throughout the period of new managers coming in, new changes to the board, any changes being made. I don't feel like these players have stepped up a level or not. So for me, I generally think, where you said a lot of players want to play football, I think a lot of these Manchester United players are past the point in caring. They generally don't care as to how successful the team is at this point, because they know that they just can't trust or they can't believe in the system, which is Manchester United, because it's not been successful at the moment. They just don't believe that it's going to be successful. You've also got, but I feel like you've also got players like Rashford, who have notoriously been here for so long, has gone up and then gone down, gone up and gone down, and he's received no punishment for that. Like, it's okay for Rashford to go up half a season, disappear for half, and sometimes he's even rewarded because he's got a new contract just not long ago off the back of it. So for me, it's like, I don't think these players realize that they're playing their last couple games for the club, or they need to prove it, or they're going to get thrown out the door. Because I think a lot of them think, I'm not going to get thrown out because you're going to need to get rid of me, and they're not getting rid of you anyway. So I think a lot of them are very comfortable where they are. And
so you agree with what Rooney's saying? You think some Man United players aren't as injured as they're trying to make out to be?
I think there's a 50-50. I think Rooney wouldn't be silly enough to come out and say something like that. Being a manager himself, someone who's just come off the ball, I feel like he would be a bit more careful with his words. But also, I agree with you in the fact that players aren't going to rush back from an injury at this point in the season. If you are feeling 70%, maybe don't go into the game. Wait till you're 100% in the new year, because if this 70% now, you go back out and injure yourself, that could affect your Euro campaign or potentially the start of next season. So there is truth. There's both of them are true. I think
can I do a conspiracy?
No, I'll come to you in a second. I think this is the thing for me. If you're going to make a claim like that, you've got to be specific. I don't think you can, because the problem we have at United, and I know rivals won't care about this. This is more from a United fan point of view. If people don't like Rashford and Bruno, they'll say that it's Rashford and Bruno that are faking it and cause hate towards them. If people don't like Lindelof and Maguire, they'll say it's them that are doing it. If people don't like Martial, they say that he's the one who's doing it. The people that don't want Varane there anymore. If you're going to say it, I think you've got to be specific. I think you've got to, either you say who it is so there's no speculation, or you don't say nothing at all, is my sort of view. Otherwise, it becomes open-ended, and you end up fighting. I mean, Rashford and Martinez are back in training. They're just not fit to start. So instantly you go, well, it can't be Martinez or Rashford because they've been assessed and they haven't passed the fitness test yet, but they're back in full-time training. They're back on grass. So it's maybe somebody else. But the Luckhurst one is the one that stands out to me more than anything, because the problem that I have with Man United fans is some Man United fans is their inconsistency when it comes to the source. So when Luckhurst does a hit piece on Martial, he's a scumbag. They come out with this article today that says that players don't want to pass to Rasmus. And the people that would call Luckhurst a liar and uncredible when he slags off Martial, they're now indulging in this story. You see a lot of people do this. A lot of people around the UK will say, don't buy the Sun newspaper. They're liars. They print a story that's negative about Man United, and suddenly they start sharing the story, doing content on the story, sharing the link to the story. But I thought the Sun were scumbags that you don't go near. And I think for me, that's more my issue with this, is people, because it serves their narrative and it serves their purpose, they push the stories out. Because if Luckhurst wrote that today, but it was about a player that particular Man United fans like, they wouldn't, they'd have defended the club. So they're never about defending the club. They're never about being balanced in their views. It's about the pile-on. And then the other side of Man United fans, the ones who are like sort of want the best for the club, they're angry that everyone's being negative about the stadium turning into Noah's fucking Ark. And I'm sitting there like, hang on. We have been saying the Glazers are awful. When I say we, most of the United fans on the terrace. What we always get told is, but they spend money. How can you hate them? We actually get the media for once highlighting the disgusting state that they have allowed Old Trafford to become. And then certain Man United fans are angry. Oh, it's always negative when it comes to Man United. The stadium flooded. Yes, this needs to be discussed. I mean, the whole place was full of. I have never seen anything like it in my life, and it's that for me was my frustration today. I'm unhappy with where we are.
Look on the bright side. You have a stadium that has a waterfall. Like I mean, that's the bright side. Like you guys have your own private waterfall at the stadium. While
Tottenham have got an F1 track. We've got a water park.
We've got
more slipping slides than flipping water world, bruv. Like it's a joke. And on the journalism point, Samuel Luckhurst is a nasty piece of work. Absolute nasty piece of work, because he knew what he was doing when he put that story out. He saw people going at Rasmus Hojlund, and he thought, yeah, okay, you know what I want to do? I want to get this one source. And you know what? This source could be an academy player. Get this one source, make it out like it's this big thing, and then pull it on this kid.
I don't even think there was a source, KJ. I reckon he thought, like, I thought of this. It sounds good.
It sounds.
That's all it was.
Yeah, because you can clearly see this is a hit piece that makes no sense. Because if you're looking at Man United right now, if you really look at Manchester United, you look at the striker position, you look at Rasmus Hojlund, you know the issues are to do with the system. You know the issues are more to do with the system. Now, if he has said, listen, Rasmus Hojlund has struggled this season, and these are areas that he can prove, but these are all sort of reasons why he struggled, I'm okay with the report, because you're giving an insight into football that maybe some fans haven't thought about. But to come out and just say, oh, it's just because the players don't rate him, so they're not passing to him. What kind of journalism is that? What kind of insight into football is that? It's foolishness. It's absolute foolishness. So I think I'm glad Ten Hag has banned him from Man United press conferences, because he's a scumbag.
He shouldn't be allowed to write articles like that, because at what point do you question the How can you even? Where's your source from that? What is your source? Is your source trust me, bro? Like, is that your source? Because let's be honest here. Like, you're saying that players don't like a certain player, so they're not passing to him. But we're watching these players play. We're watching him have good
mention the name of the players. Mention the name of the players.
This is also the element. Sorry, though. This is the bit of the story. So I look at it from the perspective. Again, if you don't like Rasmus, it's confirmation bias. It's, see, I told you he weren't good. And this story proves the players don't think he's good. Therefore, I'm right. And I think there are too many fans that are focused on being right as opposed to looking beyond the end of their nose. For me, the biggest standout here is this. who the fuck are these players to think they're not going to pass to somebody because they don't rate them? You follow the instructions on the football pitch. And that for me is, as a Man United fan, that is what I would look at here and go, how dare you say you're not going to pass to a player? That's a much bigger issue at the club by the players saying, you know what? We'll listen to all of and why I think it's bullshit is this. They're going to listen to everything Ten Hag has said. And this is the problem with the guys that are jumping on this. They also hate Ten Hag. And I get why they don't like his system. All season, the players have listened to the manager by leaving the midfield empty. But the one thing they're not listening to him on is passing the ball to Hojlund. Get out of here. Believe in again, when you logically break it down, it makes no sense unless you're seeking confirmation bias to say, I was right. And it doesn't mean Rasmus is beyond that. I know that if Staffy was here, he was meant to be here today, but he pulled out. I know he had work. He'll say, the excuses. It's not about excuses. He deserves criticism, Rasmus. He is raw and he needs to develop. But believing these stories, I just think, or even giving them any kind of credence, is half the reason Man United, not only did the stadium literally link, it's why the dressing room leaks all the time, because these stories are given credence by the fans, and we play such an important part in this rebuild. And I think we've just got to start coming together a little bit more. And that Luckhurst has had an agenda against Martial. Some of the stuff he wrote about Sancho was ridiculous. He's doing it now to Hojlund. And that's also what plays into it. People go, well, my favorite player got abused, so I'm going to join in with somebody else getting it. I just don't understand the mindset at all. It's sad to watch, really. But the focus today should all be on what are we doing to improve. And the other main focus should be what's happening with that goddamn stadium. Because what we saw yesterday when those heavens opened up was an absolute abomination. But again, none of that by Samuel Luckhurst today. Not speaking about any of that, just nonsense about players. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just crazy to me. What's
I
your
think the
thoughts
article.
Go on, bro.
Oh, sorry about that, Terry. I was gonna say, I think that the article could have probably just been better if he just came out and said that he doesn't think that Hojlund's a good player, because I think that most people would agree with that. I think when you go out there and say that, certain players don't want to pass him the ball, and we have this in like American sports as well, where you have journalists that'll come out with like a crazy story and it's like according to sources. And I always have a problem with these sources, because I'm like, what if it's just this is what you think, but you're putting according to sources so that nobody can question you, because they'll say, oh, I can't reveal that. But I mean, I think either way, whether the article is attacking Hojlund or not, he's still a bum. He's not good enough anyways. So to me, it doesn't really matter. I mean, like, he's playing as a striker for Manchester United, arguably the biggest club on the planet, and he's just not good enough. And I think that money that you guys spent on him is going to be a waste at the end of the day, and he deserves to be criticized. I think whether the article wants to falsely name a source or not.
Okay, so why is he not good enough?
Whenever I watch Manchester United, whenever I watch Hojlund, I'm just not impressed. Like, to me, he can't hold the ball. He doesn't really make runs. It seems like he's always just trying to, what's the word? It's like he's always trying to like play with his back towards the defender, but it's like he's never putting himself in situations to receive the ball, in situations to score. I mean, like, even if look at like yesterday, it was that one chance that he had. People say that he doesn't get any chances. It was a ball that was through on goal. He slips like off balance. It just, to me, I don't rate him like at all, and I don't like his mentality because of things that I've seen after he scored.
Because he celebrated scoring a goal, which you said he's not doing enough. You know what I mean? That's poor.
No, okay, but you know exactly what I'm trying to say. And again, I brought up the Coventry penalty earlier when we were talking about the Nico Jackson thing. But to me, I just don't see the qualities from Rasmus Hojlund of being a top striker.
Okay, so and
he was never worth that money anyways. Like, the guy scored 9 goals for Atalanta, and you go give them 72 million for him.
Yeah, that's crazy. We weren't supposed to. We didn't want to pay that much. We ended up craving in. That's what Man United do. Hopefully, that's changing this. So Jim, I'm not going to talk about the price because that's not his fault. But do you think, Will, Erling Haaland in this team, in the system, would be looking good? Would we say he looks like Erling Haaland, or would we say he looks like a bum?
No, I'd say he looks like a bum because he's not that good anyways. He needs service.
So
that's exactly what Man United are that good at. But okay,
we bought a striker who needs service and decide to not give him service. Now, I agree he can improve in areas like his runs, like his hold up play, like dribbling. I agree with those aspects. But how many opportunities a game does he actually get to show the qualities that he's got?
But he's not
barely
putting
any.
himself in those situations.
One in 4 games. 1 in 4 games. They don't even send him the ball. 1 in 4 games.
If you're Rasmus Hojlund and you're not scoring goals, what else can you bring to the table?
But here's the thing. What if you're being told that is what I want you to do from the manager?
I mean, then you could put that on Ten Hag.
But this is the thing for me. I understand the criticism of Rasmus, but I'm with a lot of these United players. I am not willing to go too hard on them. We can't sit here for 2 years and say that the manager's coaching isn't good enough, his system isn't good enough, he's not developing people, and then at the same time remove those trains of thought to slam players. No, nobody has to like a player they don't like. It's listen, would I prefer someone that was more akin to R9 over Rasmus Hojlund? Yeah, of course I would. But does he exist? No. Staffy gave an example yesterday about strikers that do more than him, and he was mentioning Solanke and Ollie Watkins. But nobody was saying that about those two until the systems that the clubs they play for improved. No, if you'd have said this time last year, I'd love to buy Solanke, everyone would have said you were a madman. You look at Mateta. Let's just have it right. Yes, there'll probably be some YouTuber now that will say, I've always ranked Mateta, always said he was a baller. No one was talking about him at any single fucking point. The system improves. The team look better. Mateta looks better. These are a lot of these players are what I would consider to be sort of traditional number 9s. They're never going to be amazing dribblers. They're never going to be the greatest facilitators. There's a lot of traditional number 9s that have been developed in football where they either you either create the chances for them, they do a little bit of hold up play where they move the ball off to a teammate, which he actually doesn't do that badly. Rasmus yesterday he received the ball 10 times in the game in terms of his back to goal with a defender up against him. 11, sorry. On 10 of those occasions, either with his first touch or second, he laid it off to a teammate and then moved. There was one time where he tried to turn on the inside and Saliba made a tackle against him. But we only got the ball into him 11 times. That's 3 times less than Darwin receives the ball, then Jackson receives the ball, then Haaland receives the ball in a game. So I'm not stating that he shouldn't be criticized, but when you look at the system, the underlying numbers and everything surrounding it, he isn't getting a fair crack at the whip because we are playing so awfully. If he was having the same amount of opportunities to impact the game as his contemporaries, then I'm in a situation where we can start to talk. So I look at Rasmus this way. I want to see him in a better system with better coaching, a team that creates better opportunities in the attack. We are so disjointed in bad positions. Everybody's looking bad. We all know how talented Kobbie Mainoo is, but there's been a number of games, even at his young age, where he's just, why is he in the wrong place? Why is he there? It may just be him as well. But I've just got a feeling it's more about the way we are being coached and set up than anything else. But I do hear the criticism, and I do want us to buy another striker this summer. I want him to have I don't believe in this gateway bullshit and this pathway nonsense. For me, it's a case of if you can bring someone better and he sits on the bench and he has to work hard to get back into the first team, that should help improve Manchester United. But I'm not willing to turn my back on any of our young players at the minute. The Garnachos, even Ahmad. I weren't ever that convinced about Ahmad. Watching him in 3 or 4 appearances recently, I'm fuming that he hasn't been given more game time. I want more end products because at the moment there's a lot of flicks and a lot of tricks, but with very little. He didn't attempt enough crosses or enough through balls yesterday. It looked nice, and then then the pass was like a layoff, and it's like, okay, well, you need to try and penetrate. But they just need development, these young men. You know, if the team's gone backwards, why are we expecting these young players to get better? It don't make sense to me, personally.
All right, so a question for you, Terry. So how you brought up Kobbie Mainoo, right? And I think every time you watch him, or not every time, but most times you see certain qualities that you think, okay, he could go on and be a top player. What do you see from Rasmus Hojlund when he's out there on the pitch that makes you think that he'll be a good striker?
So for me, if you watch him in the box, I think he takes up some really good positions. What doesn't help him, though, when you compare him to strikers at other teams that are performing, is we don't have enough midfield runners to take defenders away. Often when we're looking to cross that ball in, if you watch the games closely, he'll have 2 centre-backs around him. We improve when we've brought McTominay into games late at times because Scott McTominay is making those dashing runs. So then what you have is either him or McTominay stepping up and getting goals. Primarily, it's been McTominay getting them, but that doesn't bother to me because a really important element for a striker is the runs they make off the ball that make space for others. So for me, I like how he finds space. I think he's got a decent finish on him when he gets the opportunities. Conversion rate of 26% this year, shooting accuracy in the mid to high 60s. When you compare that to his contemporaries, whether you're looking with your eye or you're looking at that statistically, it marries up. I find his hold-up play is good. I think there's the base there to make it better, but I don't trust that he's getting developed in that way. So I want him to become stronger on the ball. I want him to learn to throw his weight around a little bit more when he's holding up his possession. What I would also encourage him to do more, because he did it well in the Champions League, he just hasn't done it enough in the Premier League, is to turn and run at his opponents a little bit more. I don't think he's a skillful dribbler, but what he does have is a turn of pace and power. So if you, and PMP is an important commodity in the Premier League. So on that basis, there's a player to work with. There's a player there to work with. I don't ever think he's going to be Harry Kane in terms of the creativity on the ball. He's never going to look like a Vinicius in terms of the skills that he has. But there is a base there that you can work on. But this is where Man United have got to be smart in the summer. We have to decide on the type of football we're going to play and the profiles that are needed. If we don't need what I would consider to be a traditional number 9 profile, then move him on. I'm not married to him. But if you're going to have a traditional number 9 profile, you've got to coach a team, set a team up and play in a way that feeds them. There's no point having Hojlund if you want him to be Karim Benzema or a Harry Kane or a Wayne Rooney. He can't do that. You have to set the team up in a way that facilitates chances for him. That's just how football has always been. You're a Real Madrid fan. You remember Raul, yeah?
No, I wasn't around for Raul.
Okay, so Raul was a very good football player.
I wasn't around back then.
But Raul wasn't going to do what Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo did. You know, Man United had Ruud van Nistelrooy. Ruud van Nistelrooy would be slated in this generation because he needed to be facilitated. Ian Wright would be despised by some of this young generation. Andy Cole would be ripped to pieces by some of this generation. Now, those guys, they also, by the way, those guys played in really good teams. Okay. Rasmus Hojlund has moved to one of the most dysfunctional Man United teams in our history. Put him in a clean, good environment with excellent coaching, and there's potential for a 20-plus goal a season striker across all competitions. The fact that he scored 14 goals in all comps this year, he's only 6 goals away from the elusive 20-goal a season player. And that's what he's there for. So I think there's a player in there. Do I think he's world-class? Do I think he's the greatest striker in the world? No. But the way he's been written off by some people, I feel is a little disingenuous.
Yeah. I think if you put him in a better system. If you put him in a better system,
there, because when we talk about a 20-goal a season player, we talk about 20 goals in the league, not all comps. So we're not.
Hey, shush.
I mean,
no, but at the same time, I think if you put him
Champions League, he was the joint top goal scorer when we got. He did his job. If
Rasmus did do his job in the Champions League.
He did do his job there. Just listen. I just think, as I say, put him in a really good. Stick him in this Arsenal squad for the summer and let the training and see what he does for Arsenal, see what he does for Liverpool, see what he does for teams that play better football. I think he'd score a lot of goals and nobody would really be criticizing him.
Put him in Spurs or even Chelsea, he's bagging goals. Like, put all of the strikers that all these top teams have in Man United's team, they will be called bums. They will be called like not good enough players. Because at the end of the day, if you look at the system, it don't work. Our wingers, our wingers are too far away from our forward anyway. So when he does hold up the ball, you know how long he has to hold off 2 defenders for someone to get the ball off him. It's crazy.
I feel like AJ, that's his problem though, because what I've noticed with him is like I agree with you guys. I think there is a lot of potential there to be a good player, but I've noticed whenever he does get onto the ball, especially in like the position where he's backed up on a hold off position, he doesn't look to twist his body or shift the ball to maneuver it into a way to create his own shot for himself. And that's what I think he's missing. I think he's missing that decision making where when you get on the ball in the box, you have about 2 seconds to make the decision whether you're passing or shooting. He needs to make that decision quicker because he tends to get the ball. He puts his foot on the ball to control it, and he's sort of thinking, "What am I going to do with it here?" And then he ends up losing the time, like what happened with Saliba.
But George, that comes with coaching and experience as well. Remember, this guy's also young. He's also a young lad. Let's not. I'm not going to beat him over the head with a baseball bat because with the right coaching and the right system, you can tell. Like just looking at him, there's something in there. It's the same thing like Kai Havertz. Look at when we nobody. No. Hear me out. No. What I'm saying is, it's easy to look at Kai Havertz's career in Chelsea, right, and be like, oh, he's done. Like this guy will never rise again. and then he goes into a system that works, and they figured a way out to use him, and he looks better. He may not be I'm not saying he has become world class. No, I'm just saying now you're like, there actually is a player in there. So all I'm saying is like, there's something in there with Rasmus. Like he just needs to be in the right system. And
it is. I mean, you've got to remember this season he broke the record for the most consecutive games scored in. He's the youngest player ever to score in that amount of games on the bounce. And I'm not saying that makes up for all the poor performances at all. But I watched a video today of a player that I think is exponentially better than him in every area. And it's Vinicius Jr. And it was a video looking at sort of highlights and breakdowns and comments people made from his first 18 months or so at the club. And he was a little bit younger as well, granted. And I remember watching Vinicius Jr. back then, went, look at all that ability, but nothing about him. There was reports that the Benzemas of this world were telling people to not pass to him. But a very, very positive environment at Real Madrid with excellent coaching and patience being put into him. And look what he turned into. Now, that isn't to say that he'll be as good as Vinicius, because that's what people will do when they hear me say that. Their small brains go, he's not as good as Vinicius. But development can come. You've just got to give it time. One thing that I'd say about the player is the scouting reports we had that came in. This was printed in the summer. Go back and read it. Stated he's a very good prospect, but he's 2 years away, in the opinion of the scouts, from being able to lead the line for a team like Man United in the Prem. The club was trying to sign another more experienced striker alongside him, and they didn't get it done. So I think we've done very similar with him, same as we've done with Garnacho. They're young players, but I don't think they're actually ready to start right now, let alone in a toxic environment at the club. But we don't have anybody else because of one reason or another. And that's how we need to build this squad out in over the next couple of years, is to allow these young players to have a controlled and positive environment to develop in without them needing to be the stars. It's crazy. But that's my view. Viewers, give us your thoughts. Give us your opinions below. This here says, adding a 39th game to the Premier League. I think the same for the 39th game, even if it is literally a 39th game in the sense of who plays who. Imagine. Go on, sorry.
I think Chike is trying to say, like, at the end of the season, there should be one last game where it's like maybe the team that wins the league, right? And then maybe the team that,
like a charity shield game.
Yeah, like a charity shield game, like a team that wins.
Do the charity shield in America. I don't think anyone will care about that. Do the charity shield. Yeah, okay. I love KJ. That take is crazy.
The World Cup one.
There we go. Put it this way, not against West Ham or a double loss against Aston Villa. The points dropped against Fulham killed us.
I have to address this thing. No,
okay.
Arsenal fans that say this, you have to use the same weight for the other team. If we beat West Ham, if we beat Aston Villa, if we had beat Fulham, and let's use the same thing for Man City. If Man City had beaten Aston Villa, if Man City had won the games that they drew, and Man City did not lose any games, we'll still be having the same conversation. You can't say that if Arsenal won those games, we're now going to win the league today. You have to use that same vim for Man City to say, what if Man City also won all their games? We'll still.
That might be true, Dayo, but those games effectively lost you the league. Those games did lose you the league.
Hold on. The league is not lost yet.
I said, but when it happens,
let's wait till the end of the season, and then you can say those games lost me the league. But as of now, all I'm saying is you have to use the same vim. I cannot say, if Arsenal had beat Aston Villa or they had beat Fulham, okay, in the same vim. If Man City had beaten Aston Villa, if Man City had beaten Aston Villa,
this is an end of season conversation, boys. It isn't for now. This here, Dayo. First, give my nephew his allowance. Second, people thought Fulham was a tough game. Now it is Spurs. Third, what is the point of being in the Champions League to be bottom of the group stage?
I think he's talking about Man United.
Or Spurs, I think he's talking about. Spurs getting in.
Yeah, I think he said that because I think I said it doesn't matter if Tottenham make Champions League. They're not going to win it. I think that's what that comment was for.
To be fair, there is a point to be in the Champions League, because you get a chance to win the Champions League. Like, look at Dortmund. Do you think Dortmund went in there thinking they was going to make the final 100%? No, but they still fought to be in the Champions League to be in the Champions League.
And the thing with Spurs is as well. And Spurs did get to a final a few years ago. That's the only thing I would say about. Like, I know they didn't turn up in the final, but that was more because Poch messed up and started Harry Kane. He should have been on the. I think if anyone scores a hat trick in a Champions League semi-final and doesn't start the final, Poch should have been sacked.
Of course, you got to remember as well.
In hindsight, he should have been sacked. So Spurs fans should have stormed the pitch. Do you know what I mean? But
you gotta remember as well with that final. That was 2 weeks after the Premier League has finished. So both Liverpool and Spurs.
and the handball. In fairness, it wasn't a penalty either. AMT here says you just don't get it. I'm only talking about Arsenal. Don't get it twisted is what AMT said. I hear you. I listen. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. Look, I want to thank everyone who was tuned in. Please go and check out Match Bingo. You've still got like 50 minutes before the Liverpool Villa game to get your bingo cards ready. So go and check it out. But Will, KJ, Dayo, Henry, and George, thank you very much. We're live after Liverpool Aston Villa later this evening as well. So make sure you're all tuning in. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again soon. Peace.